Good morning. It's the start of a new week, and today I'm going to talk about how I choose my next book. I've got a few to choose from today. I just finished The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Honestly, I found that book quite hard to read. I don't know whether it was the writing style, but it had a couple of gems in there. It just took me longer than I hoped to get through it. Now, when you've just read a book where it's been very laborious, it's been a real grind for you to get through it, there is a case to say, make sure your next book is easier to read, something more palatable. Or the other thing you can do is in the evening, say you're reading that tougher book in the morning, first thing, in the evening, read a book that's, I don't know if you like fiction or just something that's easier to read. Otherwise, you start to associate pain with reading, and that's not good. So how am I going to choose from these next books? So I have The Shallows here, which is an older book written about the internet and how it's affecting our brain. I've read Deep Work by Cal Newport. That's more recent than this one, but there's a particular reason why I want to read this. Someone I really respect read this, and I think it emphasizes a certain point that Deep Work does not. It's like a summary of lots of amazing books. There's an NLP book by Robert Dilts, who worked with the two co-founders of NLP, if you know what NLP is. If not, that's a video for another time. A very short book on productivity and avoiding procrastination. This is an absolute classic, self-help classic, which I've still not read for one reason or another. And this was given to me by a friend. It's more, I think he's a neuroscientist, Scanned Brains, and it talks about a revolutionary program for balancing mood, restoring brain health, and nurturing spiritual growth. Okay, so I've mentioned one criteria by which I choose my next book, and that is if the last book I read was a real grind, I make sure the next one is maybe a lighter, easier read. So something like this would be an example. There are big words, big spaces. It's a short book. It's light to carry around. It's just generally all-round easy book to live with for a week or two, for a couple of weeks. So that's one criteria. And the next criteria is which book is going to get me the biggest bang for buck. So what's going to get me the biggest return on investment? So if at the moment you are about to set up a marketing funnel, say you have an online business, then you might need a book on copywriting, like Dan Kennedy wrote a book. Is it The Ultimate Sales Letter or something like that? But you get the picture. So what is messing you up right now? And then tailor your book to that. So there are the two criteria. Are you up for reading something tougher, or do you need something easier? And what is your biggest barrier right now? And what is the best book to deal with that? Now, I'll be pretty open and honest here. The last couple of years, and with let's say the thing that happened, I don't want to get these. I've heard that if you mention certain words, your YouTube videos get censored or whatever, but maybe that's one of the words right there. I just said that. Anyway, off on a tangent. So the last few years, I've really isolated myself in like a Tim Ferriss style, if you know who Tim Ferriss is, simplified my life right down, and it's just been focused on going to the gym, working, a little bit of traveling, and that is all. Like, that is really it. I have gone sometimes a couple of weeks without seeing anybody, and I would say try and avoid doing that. There might be a time for monk mode, as some people call it, but I would say you're cutting off your nose to spite your face if you're not seeing anybody at all. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out 2, 3, 4 times a week, but I would say a couple of times a week, staying in touch with people, having some decent conversations. And so because I've done this for a few years now, I have been going to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, and that was very good, but some guy who was just going far too hard actually ruptured the ligaments on my ankle. That's a different video. If you start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's very good, but make sure you have clever training partners, not guys who are looking to pump up their ego. So I couldn't go to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class anymore. But I've joined another gym and the guys there are friendly, we talk. So that's really, really helpful. But you do need some quality time. All of that to say, for a few years, I've kind of isolated myself and really focused on building an online business. To give context to this video, earning money from a job or a face-to-face service is very different, in my opinion, than building an online income stream, that's what my focus is right now, is to get to £1,000 a month online. So that's my focus. That gives you the context. I've really isolated myself for a couple of years, focusing on not just that, but a few other things. And so I would say that I'm going to make it a priority now to get out there and make some solid connections, or actually just nurture the friendships I have, but do it the right way. And so this book, I would say, could be a contender for the next book I read. I hope that makes sense. 2 criteria: easy to read, and it matches a big priority for you right now. So this, I'm saying, is on the short list of all the books I just showed you because of the second it's a priority to me. But at the same time, the last book I read was, and I think this is relatively easy to read, though, I don't know. But then this book is definitely also on my short list because I want to get even more productive and not procrastinate. There's a couple of things I've been avoiding doing, and I've noticed it in myself. I think it's normal human nature. We avoid pain, generally speaking, unless we increase our awareness and then walk toward pain. Like, so today I did a 2 or 3 minute cold shower. That's something I deliberately do because I have awareness that has certain benefits to it. There may be some hesitation before I jump in there, but I walk toward pain. But in other areas of your life, you may be avoiding doing certain things, like your tax return is not particularly that exciting, though it can be done pretty quickly and simply if you have some good systems in place. So this is another contender. I'd say these are the two contenders right now. Among this is more of a nicety, I would say. I don't think that's going to help me in the way that either of these two would. And The Shallows, I've flicked through it, and the writing style just does not necessarily look easy to me. And I think what I'm going to do anyway is just not be on the internet much at all for the next week and see how that affects things. I have had a tendency to be watching YouTube videos as I'm walking down the street and trying to cram more information in with podcasts, just more info. And I've noticed that when you take the earbuds out after hours of doing that for days on end, it's kind of like a relief. And I just think it's not great for your brain. So I'm guessing this book would say, the top and bottom of it is that this book would say, be on the internet less. So I don't need to read that book. That's a guess, but I don't need to read that book to know that. And then this one here is, I'm excited to read this, but it's a bit clinical. Robert Dilts. So yeah, it doesn't pass the kind of easy to read test. Same as this one here. Definitely more clinical. Is he a PhD, this guy? I don't know. But anyway, so down to these 2 books. What am I going to read? I'll do this live on this video. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Do It Today. Okay, so I've already read a third of Do It Today, so I'm going to choose this one just to get a sense of momentum. As I said, the last book I read, The Big Leap, it was just a bit clunky. It is a good book. He makes some really good points, and I'll quickly review that book in 30 seconds now. So he reckons that a lot of people self-sabotage when we are feeling good and we're flying. Quite often, not everybody, but a lot of people will do something to stop that and sabotage that. So first, increase your awareness of if you're doing that. And I think I was in certain areas. So that was helpful. And then have like a maxim to live by. So he comes up with a phrase. And then at the end, he talks about time, which was also very interesting. Maybe I'll do a more full review on that. I want to get this video done in under 10 minutes. But that's my book for this week. And also my focus today is to get 3 work blocks done. Have a great day, and I'll see you in a few days.